Hey everyone! Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea, one that kind of challenges our deepest anxieties about, the next generation. We're calling this one, "The Kids Are All Right." And let's kick things off with this quote, because honestly, it gets right to the heart of everything. Every generation panics about the next one. Every generation is wrong in the same way. It's a pattern as old as time, right? The worry, the panic, that feeling that everything's going off the rails. So that brings us to the big question for today. What if the kids aren't actually broken? What if all those behaviors we see, the stuff that really worries us, aren't signs of a generation in crisis? What if we're just looking at it all wrong? So let's talk about the generational panic button. Why we're always worried about kids these days. And look, we've all felt it, right? That nagging anxiety that kids today are somehow more fragile or more distracted or just less prepared. It's a universal feeling for parents, and it's totally understandable. But get this, and this is wild. The whole kids these days complaint, it hasn't really changed in something like 3,000 years. Seriously. So if the complaint is always the same, generation after generation, maybe the problem isn't the kids. Maybe, just maybe, the problem is the complaint itself. So the question is, why do we keep falling into the same trap? Well, it's because we're navigating with an old map. Our parenting frameworks are they're out of date. We're trying to find our way through a completely new world with a guide that's decades, even centuries old. Okay, let's break down this idea. The map versus the terrain. Think of it like this. The map is our model of childhood and success. It's all our ideas about how things should work. But the terrain? That's the real world. The complex, unpredictable modern world they're actually living in. And here's the kicker. Our map just doesn't match the terrain anymore. And here's a perfect example. A lot of our modern parenting map, like the 4 famous parenting styles, was drawn up way back in 1966. We're still trying to use this nearly 60-year-old guide to navigate a world that is, well, it's radically different.
Just look at the difference here. The world our map was built for, it assumed things were predictable. Stable careers, trusted institutions, you know the drill. Get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and you're set. But the real world today, the new terrain, it's all about constant flux, a deep distrust in those old institutions, and a future that's, let's face it, totally unpredictable.
All right, so if the map is useless, what are kids supposed to do? This brings us to the world's new rules, understanding the new terrain. See, they're learning to read the terrain itself. And this is the absolute key. Kids are navigating by feel. They aren't lost, they're adapted. When the world is changing faster than anyone can draw a map for it, the only people who aren't lost are the ones navigating by instinct. Their behaviors aren't flaws, they're adaptations. Okay, so they're not broken, they're adapted. Let's reframe these so-called problems as actual survival skills. We're going to take 3 of the biggest complaints you hear about kids and flip them on their head. We'll see them not as problems, but as smart adaptations to this crazy new world.
So first up, are they lazy or are they just hyper-efficient? You know the one, the classic accusation of laziness, the kid who refuses to do things the hard way.
So here's a new perspective on laziness. The old view calls it friction intolerance. But what if the new view is that they're friction optimized? See, it's not that they can't deal with difficulty, it's that they have this amazing, almost genius-level instinct for finding the absolute most efficient path to any goal.
Think about it. They're adapted to a world where frictionless experiences, like getting food from DoorDash with a single tap, are a core feature, not a bug. Their entire world is built around removing friction. So this isn't a character flaw. It's just a totally rational response to the world they live in.
Okay, next one. Are they distracted, or are they just processing information way faster? We're talking about the short attention span, right? The constant jumping between tasks, the seeming inability to just focus on one thing. Well, here's a new way to think about that. The old view is short attention spans. The new view? Maybe they're just running a higher frame rate. Instead of seeing a problem, what if we see a different kind of processing? One that's perfectly adapted to a world that throws information at them at an insane speed.
Exactly. Their behavior might look like a disorder like ADHD in an old context like a quiet classroom, but it's actually a huge advantage in a high-speed information world that requires you to switch contexts on a dime and process a ton of data all at once.
All right, the final one, and it's a biggie. Are they just wasting time online, or are they actually training for the future? We're talking about screen time. You know, hours on Discord, TikTok, or deep inside a video game. To a lot of us, it looks like a massive waste of time.
So let's look at a new perspective on screen time. The old view is that it's just time wasting, but the new view is that it's unseen skill acquisition. What if it's not a waste at all?
Because they are developing skills online for jobs that don't even exist yet, and they're doing it in ways we can't easily recognize as training. I mean, they're learning things like digital collaboration, community management, content creation, complex problem solving, all inside these online worlds. What just looks like play to us might actually be the most important job training they're getting.
So where does that leave us parents? If the old rules don't apply, what do we do? We're parenting in the chaos, and it's all about one skill that matters now. It's not about throwing up our hands. The focus just has to shift, away from giving them a map and towards helping them develop a completely different kind of skill.
And that skill is what we can call co-regulation in chaos. It is the only parenting skill that actually transfers when you can't predict the terrain. It's all about navigating uncertainty together. It's not about having the answers. It's about being a calm, trusted co-navigator, someone who's right there with them, figuring it out side by side.
Which brings us to probably the most important line of this whole thing. Your model of childhood is fragile, not your children. Let that sink in. The problem isn't that our kids are broken. The problem is that our idea of what childhood should look like is fragile. It was built for a world that's gone, and it's shattering against the reality of this new terrain.
So, in the end, the kids are all right. The real question is, are the adults ready to see it? They are adapted, they are resilient, and they're navigating this incredibly complex world with skills we often just fail to see. The real question isn't for them, it's for us. Are we ready to throw away our old, tattered maps and finally see them for who they really are?